guys, welcome back to the Scrubs Off Duty podcast. I'm your host, Bree, also known as Bree the Nurse. Thank you so much for watching. This is now my third episode on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, comment down below and let me know. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If not, go check it out. Please, I put a lot of effort and time into this, and I'm so excited to actually be able to show you things and talk to you. But this episode is all about work-life balance. I get tons and tons and tons of questions about work-life balance. It is something that is so important to me as a nurse because I feel like it's so easy to get absorbed into healthcare and forget about who you were before you became a nurse. Work-life balance is a little bit different for everyone. I think everyone kind of thinks of it in a different way, but for me personally, it's making sure I'm taking care of my mental and physical health outside of work and spending that time on myself, doing the things I love, having a good life outside of the hospital, because it's so easy to just get so absorbed into the hospital even when you're at home. And if you don't have that good balance, your mental health normally isn't the best. It definitely takes a while to get the hang of things, I would say. I feel like I struggled with this a lot within the first 6 months that I became a nurse because number one, you're trying to figure out how to be a nurse. Number two, you're probably on nights, and nights at first, you might not know how to even function on nights, and that's a whole different ballpark. And number three, it's just hard because you're going through all these emotions and seeing traumatic things, and you might not know how to process them and leave it at work when you can, because sometimes you can't always leave it at work. I know some people are better at that than others. Personally, I am emotional and take things home with me, but I've definitely gotten better coping skills the longer I've been a nurse. There are definitely still days that are harder than others, unfortunately, but I would say it doesn't get easier. I hate when people say these traumatic things get easier. It might get easier for some people, but I don't think it should be expected to get easier. I felt a lot of pressure put on me from other people, by them saying it will get easier, because it doesn't get easier for everyone. It might get easier for you, but don't feel like it has to get easier for, yourself. I genuinely think I haven't found that it's gotten easier to process these traumatic things. I think I have better coping mechanisms, but it hasn't gotten easier dealing with them, seeing them, stuff like that. And I think, if it does get super duper easy for you, maybe a different career or a different workplace would maybe benefit you, because then you can start losing your compassion and your empathy, and that's not something that we want in our field, But trauma is hard, and this field can have a lot of it, which is why it's so important to take care of yourself on your days off and to have a good work-life balance. I really struggled when I was a new grad nurse because I had no idea what I was doing in any aspect, and it's super weird because you go through this phase when you get out of school where you were used to, during school for me, I worked and I went to school. And, obviously school is pretty time consuming, and trying to balance that with hanging out with friends and family, you're pretty booked up, I would say. Your social calendar, your literal calendar is pretty booked up when you're in school. So when you get out of school and you pass your NCLEX, you don't have to study for your NCLEX anymore. You just work your 36 hours a week. And not saying that that's not a lot, because it is a lot, but you do have free time now. And especially if you're single and don't have any kids, which I don't have any kids, so I was what do I do on my days off? I feel like I lost the part of myself that I had before nursing school, because you're so consumed in nursing school. I feel like I didn't have any hobbies. I'm okay, I go to the gym, but that's an hour a day. What do I do for the rest? I genuinely did not know, and especially it's really hard when you're a nurse and it's a random weekday off. Thankfully, I have my boyfriend Brandon, who is a healthcare worker, and I made other healthcare worker friends who have random Wednesdays off and stuff like that. But before you do those things, or before you get those relationships like that with friends at work, if you don't have those relationships, which is totally fine, making friends at work is a whole other ballpark that I struggled with as well. But it can be really hard because you're what do I do? all of the other people in my life are working, 9 to 5s or whatever, that they don't have the day off. So then you just sit at home alone, and that's not always the healthiest. Like, you need to get out of the house sometimes. And I think it's a really hard transition because you're so focused to having your schedule booked. And personally, I started just picking up a ton of overtime shifts because of it. Because I thought, oh, well, I have the day off. I'm not doing anything. What else am I going to do anyway? All of my friends are working. Like, I have nothing better to do. Might as well work. And then I picked up so many shifts. I was working like 5 days a week. And I really felt like I was getting burnt out because this was prime COVID time anyway. And it was just a lot. Like, granted, I made good money during that time, and I had good experience working and getting all those hours in, but mentally I felt like I was not doing okay. I didn't know how to transition to nights very well. I had no friends outside of work. I really didn't see my family much. Like, it was not mentally a good time for me, and I really, really struggled. So if you feel like you have that like toxic workaholic mentality like I did, don't pick up too much. And everyone told me, like, don't pick up too much. But then you get that text and they're like, oh, you want to come in and help the team, and then you feel guilty. Like, yes, I would love to come in and help the team, but I also need to make sure I'm taking care of myself, because again, you are not your best self and you're not the best to your patients when you aren't taking care of yourself mentally. So it's a very hard fine line, and I crossed it many times. So don't make the same mistakes that I did. Not saying that like you shouldn't ever pick up overtime, because it's great every once in a while, whenever you feel like you mentally can. But I would book myself out with overtime like months in advance. And then by the time I actually got to those shifts, I'd be exhausted or physically sick, and there was nothing I could do about it. I had to work those shifts, So maybe wait until the day of or the day before when you get that text right in the moment. And normally if you do that also, the incentives are a little bit better last minute. Just a little trick that I learned. But really just self-evaluate and know yourself and know your limits, because I did not do that myself, and I was way overworked, not doing well. But you know your body, you know what you can handle. If you can work all those shifts and still feel fine and still have good work-life balance, then go for it. Like, who am I to tell you not to do that? But I genuinely feel like I lost myself for a while when I became a nurse, especially because I was posting on social media too. And I would talk about nursing, and that was it. And I didn't really show other parts of myself, and I just made my life so... I was just a nurse. That was like my personality trait. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like, being a nurse is great and all of that, but I didn't know who I was besides a nurse. And I had hobbies before I became a nurse and before I went to nursing school, and it's just like I forgot about them all. And it was kind of toxic for me, and I noticed that like other people seem to struggle with that too. And a big problem of it with social media was that like I felt like I couldn't share the other parts of me that didn't revolve around nursing. And like, granted, maybe my non-nursing videos don't perform as well. Not that that is everything, but I was like, oh, well then I can't just share about it because no one cares. But it's like, no, like this is me. Like, this is my life. This is who I am. I can share what I want to share. Like, and so now I've definitely created a healthier balance between me sharing myself outside of work and inside of work. And that's really why I started this whole podcast, really, because it's called Scrubs Off Duty. The inspiration behind it was, you wear scrubs at work, but you also have a life off duty. And so I wanted to talk about nursing and also not talk about nursing. And that's why I try every episode, and some episodes I've done total not nursing at all, but every episode to do a little combo, because there's more to life than your job, there's more to life than working, and you have to have that balance. And that's why I started my little like work-life balance segment at the end of each episode, where I talked about things that are going on in my life that have nothing to do with nursing, because there's more. And we all have our hobbies, and maybe you've forgotten what they are, and maybe I can spark something and you're like, oh, that really interests me. So I just hope that like this inspires you to find your hobbies. Like some of my hobbies, I get asked all the time, like, what do you do? And I genuinely didn't do anything for a while there, but now I feel like I have a good routine and I have hobbies. I love reading. That's one of my huge hobbies. I love content creation. I love editing. I love talking to you guys on social media. Like that's become a whole new hobby for me. And I genuinely love it. I've always been creative in that way to where like I've edited videos for school projects my whole like school career. Like that was always where I felt like I thrived. And so I love doing that. I love going on long walks with the dogs. Now I love hiking that I'm in Arizona. Like we love going on hikes. It's so beautiful here. And that's not really stuff that we could do in Michigan besides like hiking sand dunes. I love just like mental health. I feel like mental health can be a hobby. Anything self-care, like I love skincare and doing face masks, and shopping is a hobby, which I don't recommend. Don't do that. It's a dangerous hobby and it shouldn't be a hobby. But I love going to coffee shops. That's like one of my favorite things to do. Trying new coffee shops, learning like why that coffee shop was created, meeting, you know, the workers that are there. I honestly think like baristas are the coolest people. They genuinely are so cool. I've never met a barista that wasn't cool. Like they are always like so artsy and creative, and like I love watching them, and they're always so passionate about coffee too, and that just like I love coffee so much. It's nice seeing people that like love their jobs and are passionate about it and love what they do. Like it makes me so happy when someone is in a job that they love, which is why I really try to show how much I love nursing, because I genuinely love my job. And it, you know, it's not perfect 100% of the time, but I do love what I do, and I think it's important that you do love it. You know, like you want to love what you do. You don't want to suffer through every single day, and if you do, then maybe it's not for you, and that's okay, because again, your mental health is important, and being happy is important, and taking care of your mind is so important. But those I would say are like my top hobbies. Obviously, like spending time with my family and dogs and friends, but I don't know if that really counts as a hobby. But, you know, that's like things that I like to do. I really enjoy just like taking care of myself and wellness. And, you know, I love going on long walks. I love going to the gym. I also think like back to the overtime shifts. It's okay to work overtime, but also like don't be afraid to get a different side hustle. I think side hustles are so awesome. I talked about this a lot when I had Allie on, the debt-free nurse. We talked about some side hustles because she's big on side hustles. You don't need to always pick up overtime shifts. Like you can find other outlets and other passions. If you want to work at a coffee shop one day a week, you know, do that. I signed up for Rover and I walk dogs sometimes, like, and that's something fun. Like I know it sounds crazy and like I have a full-time job, but it's like something fun. It's another outlet. I love animals. I used to volunteer in an animal shelter. I loved it. I love my dogs. Like I'm such an animal person. And I was like, you know what, wouldn't that be fun? And it's a little extra cash, you know, nothing crazy, but something fun to do on my days off. And I've done it a handful of times now, and I love meeting like new pups. It makes my heart so happy. But like it's okay to do something other than nursing too. You can have a side hustle, and there's so many other things you can do. There's nursing related things as well, like picking up a PRN job, doing something else. Like I know there used to be a lot of vaccine clinic jobs and testing jobs, and there's respite care, like super cool things you can do. Even babysitting, like I've babysat a few times as well. Like I used to babysit. That was like my full-time job before I was a nanny. But that's something else you could do. Like don't feel like, okay, well now that I'm a nurse and I have an RN next to my name and yada yada yada, that I have to only do this. You can do other things as well. You can still work on your other passions and find new passions, and you know, side hustles are great. I do think though it can be really hard on night shift. Night shift, especially when it's your first time on night shift, it can be really, really difficult to find work-life balance. It makes it even harder when your shifts aren't all in a row. Like when my shifts aren't back to back, I really struggle with work-life balance, because when you're on nights, you sleep and you're totally mixed up in your days, and it's really, really difficult. So my number one tip is to really try to get your shifts back to back, because your physical and mental health will thank you. But on nights, I talked about this on the last episode, kind of how I do night shift and how I function on night shift. But I think it's important to try to get up. If you have like a stretch off, try to get up and function as a daily human, whether that's after a nap or if you are the type of person, which I am not, that just gets up or doesn't even sleep. But try to do something, try to spend time with family, try to see friends, try to take care of yourself, whether it's going on a long walk, doing yoga, doing meditation, going to the gym, whatever you like to take care of yourself physically. Even just like stretching, getting a little movement in really helps me on my days off to acclimate myself better to the day shift. And going outside if you can, like getting some sun and try to re-regulate your circadian rhythm, I feel like genuinely really helps so much. But it can be really difficult, especially because you're tired all the time. You might feel groggy, you might be a little cranky. I get cranky, especially that like first day that I flip. I'm cranky, okay? But I think that's okay, and I think as long as the people in your life understand that, it should be fine. Like you know, you're gonna be tired. Like you are allowed to be cranky. You just worked and then you took a small nap. Like, come on. And luckily my family and friends are pretty understanding of that and know to like, okay, don't take anything personally. She's just tired. But it can also be really hard with communication. I really struggled, not as much here because there is a time difference between my family and friends. We're 3 hours apart, so that kind of helps because I can talk to them in the morning when they're up. But when I was on nights on the same time zone as my family, it was really hard because they would text me all the time and I would really only answer when they're sleeping. And so you just are like ships passing through the night or whatever the saying is. And you don't really get to communicate at all. It's luckily a lot better for me here because they'll be up when I get off work and I can text them a little bit and they'll be up when I get up. So it works kind of a little bit better, a few extra hours that we can maybe communicate, but it can be really hard. And I think your relationships can strain because of that. I'm really thankful again to be with someone who works the same career as me and works the same shift as me, and they get it and understand it. But I think it could be really hard being in a relationship with someone who has no idea what that's like. And communication, I would think, would be so important if that were the case scenario, because they might, not understand. And it can be really hard being in a relationship with a healthcare worker. It can be really hard being in a relationship with a night shift worker, let alone the combo of the two. That's a double whammy that's a little difficult to manage. So I think communication is super duper important in that sense. And hopefully, you can make it work because it's hard. Even being on the same schedule as someone in a night shift, like same career, can be hard sometimes too. It is hard though sometimes when like Brandon and I do work opposite shifts because our work-life balance isn't the best. Especially being here, I have struggled a little bit with work-life balance because I don't really have many friends. I mean, like I've made friends at work, but I haven't hung out with anyone. It just like hasn't worked out to hang out with anyone outside of work yet. So like when Brandon works and I don't, it can be a little bit difficult. I mean, I have the dogs here and all that, but I don't really know anyone else to hang out with. So we'll kind of just do our own thing, which like I'm independent. I can handle it. I'll be independent, but sometimes I like do genuinely miss all my friends at home and my family at home, obviously. But I was thinking about this, I don't think I would travel nurse alone. If you travel nurse alone, props to you. Like I don't know how you do it. I think I would really get lonely, and I'm very, very thankful to have someone in my life that I can travel with. But props to you, because I feel like my work-life balance would be horrible. I think I would probably fall into the trap of picking up a bunch of overtime again if I didn't have someone with me to spend my days off with. So props to you. I couldn't do it. But I asked you guys some questions about work-life balance, so let's go over them. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you're missing out, at Bree the Nurse and at Scrubs Off Duty Pod. I always ask questions about the episode, or I ask you guys to ask me questions about the episode. So If you don't follow me there, you are missing out on the questions that I will answer. So, is travel nursing really worth it? Was one of the questions. I think it is. You have to evaluate yourself whether you want to or not. I would say the pay is much better. Obviously during the summer, and the rates right now, if you're looking, aren't as great as they used to be, but doing it with someone is super awesome for me. Again, I don't think I would do it by myself. It has also been really cool seeing a whole different part of the world that I haven't seen before, or part of the country I should say, that I haven't seen before, and getting away from the cold snow for the winter. That has been a big plus, I know, for us. And I think you just have to self-evaluate like what you like. There are definitely pros and cons to it. I know a lot of people preach all the pros, but there are a lot of cons, like being away from your family, being away from your friends, moving, like not being able to take all your belongings with most likely, and obviously you have to duplicate your expenses, and it can be a little stressful sometimes, and making sure you negotiate your pay and negotiate your contract. There's always the risk of you being canceled. Like there's many things that go into it. So definitely do your research if you're considering it. But I have found, again, I've done one contract. I haven't even finished my first contract yet, so I don't want to speak like I know 100% what I'm talking about. But I have done my research. But you know, weigh the pros and cons. I genuinely love it. Brandon genuinely loves it. But again, we're still newbies at this. So does your hospital allow you to pick your schedule? So yes, they do. They try their best to accommodate what we want, but obviously, you know, we kind of get the last choice because we're the travelers, which is totally fine, but they've been super duper awesome and typically give us the same schedule 99% of the time. So it's really nice being on the same schedule as Brandon. Are you required to work weekends? Yes, we actually do work a lot of weekends anyway because we kind of just like working weekends. The vibes are different, if you know, you know. Do you feel like you have a good work-life balance with travel nursing? Yes, I feel like I do. I feel like it's different than being a staff nurse though, because I am away from home, and so I don't do all the same things that I used to do. But I think it's good. Luckily, so far, my schedule has pretty much been back-to-back. I haven't had too many like on again, off again days. There were a few the first couple weeks where I was a little on and off and my work-life balance wasn't the best, but we've been traveling on our days off if we have a few in a row, and going to different cities in Arizona, and even we went to Vegas. So I feel like we've had good work-life balance in that sense, and traveling is another hobby of ours that we love doing. So that's really important to us, and that's the whole reason, or one of the main reasons why we did travel nursing, is to explore and travel other cities and see the country, see the world. Can you work days or nights when travel nursing? Do they have rotating ED shifts? So the current travel contract that I'm at, they only had nights available, so I did nights, but there are contracts for nights and days. It seems like there are a lot more for night shift out there than there are for day shift. There is also a lot of rotating shifts and some mid shifts as well. I don't know if I would like rotating shifts. I haven't worked one of those yet though. I have worked a couple overtime mid shifts though. What do you do on your days off? So on my days off, it kind of depends on the day, but I typically will wake up, go to the gym, eat a nice breakfast. If it's been like a few shifts in a row, we'll normally go grocery shopping because all the food is gone. And then we like to travel, so we've been traveling around Arizona if we have a few days off. So we'll normally go explore somewhere, go hiking, sit outside in the sun and relax. I like to read. I work on editing. That takes up a lot of my time as well. So, but that's typically what we do. And then we try new like dinner places. We love going out to dinner, and we also love going to coffee shops. So we go to a lot of new coffee shops. I definitely made Brandon a coffee person. And so that's like one of our favorite things to do, is to try new coffee shops and then relax before bed. Sometimes we'll like go out and grab a drink, but sometimes we'll make drinks at home too. How long did I get the hang of night shift flipping schedules? So the first time I was on night shift, I feel like I never really got the hang of it. I thought I did, but I really didn't. But this time I definitely got the hang of it. So if you want to hear how I do it, you can watch my last video that explains everything I do for night shift, or listen to my last podcast. How to stop thinking about work when you get off. So this can be really hard. I think it takes a while, and sometimes you still, after rough shifts, you still think about it nonstop. sometimes just like talking to someone about it, obviously without breaking any HIPAA, but just, you know, talking about how your day went, how your shift went can help. Therapy's great. Therapy helps. Try to distract yourself if you feel like that method works better for you, but I personally feel like you gotta get it out, because pushing it down, it's all gonna come bubbling up one day and it's not gonna be good. So I personally like to talk about it. But if it's nothing major and you're just like thinking about, oh, I forgot to give this person a warm blanket sort of thing, just try to like watch a movie, scroll on TikTok, whatever your like calming thing is, try to do that. How to not feel like you wasted a day off when you're on night shift, but also not push yourself too hard. So my first day off, when it's like your fake day off is what I call it, your flip day, like when you got off at 7 a.m. that morning and that's your day off, I really don't I try to take it easy, because that's like, you need to relax. You just worked however many hours, maybe even a few days in a row, like you need to relax and take care of yourself. So I try to take it easy those days. I will let myself sleep, because I genuinely don't feel good if I don't sleep. So I'll take a nap, I'll, you know, get a coffee. I try to not put too much pressure on myself to get a lot of stuff done, because you just did a lot and you need to give your body the rest it needs. So, you know, I might go on a walk instead of like doing a crazy workout at the gym. I might, you know, just take it easy and watch the movies at the house. I try not to have anything like crazy planned that day that I would need a majillion and a lot of energy for, so I can kind of just relax. That's your rest day. Like, take it easy, listen to your body. But I try to really not do like anything crazy, and I recommend that you don't either. Like, kind of think of it as like, you know, your like rest day off from the gym, active recovery, like go on some walks, watch the movies, read a book, just kind of take it easy. Don't do anything too crazy, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. But I totally get it though, because I always feel guilty, feeling like I wasted the day if I didn't do all the things on my checklist and all the things on my to-do list. But you have to realize, like, you know, you got to take care of yourself, and it's okay if you didn't do everything you wanted to do today. There's always tomorrow. And you know what? The to-do list never goes away. It never ends. How do you have a routine if the days you work are never the same? This is something I struggled with for the longest time. So I finally figured out, you have to make an off day routine. That's the key. Because if you don't have an off day routine, you're gonna be a mumbo jumbo mess. So you might not work every single day the same each week. And that really threw me off at first, because you're used to Monday through Friday, you know, school, whatever, work, whatever. Your whole life you were running Monday through Friday. And now you might work Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. And you're like, what the heck? I don't even know what day it is. What month is it? What year is it? I'm not even learn-oriented times 4. Like, I'm worse than my patients. And that's okay, because that's how I felt too for a long, long time. But you have to do the same routine every day that you're off, or like something similar. Have a day off routine, and then you kind of feel like regulated, you know? So my routine, you know, is get up, go to the gym, I make breakfast, I do this, like do the same thing or similar things, and you feel like you have more of your life put together. And that's really something I struggled with for the longest time, because you feel so discombobulated, like you don't know what's going on and you lack that. Like, I feel like we typically run better when you are on a routine. Like, you function better, at least I do. Like, I feel so much better when I have like, okay, this is this. Structure. Sometimes you need some structure, but like don't do it too much. Don't plan it out by the hour, but you know, kind of know like, okay, this is what I'm going to do on my off days. These are my goals for my off days, and if you don't get to it, you don't get to it. But that's what I like to do. How do you manage going to the gym, staying healthy, and getting enough sleep? So those are like my non-negotiables. That's what I call them. Going to the gym and getting enough sleep are my non-negotiables. Really, I should say getting sleep is my non-negotiable, because if I don't get enough sleep, I don't go to the gym, because it's not, from all of the articles I've researched about like women's hormones and health, which like do your own research, I have learned that it's not really great for your body and your hormones to work out, which like it makes total sense when you haven't had enough sleep. So it does more harm than good on your health. But do your own research. That's just what I've learned on my own. But I really prioritize, so there's 7 days in a week. You know, goal, I would love to work out 5 days a week, but sometimes I don't because I work 3 shifts at least of those days. And if I really try, like on my first day that I flip, I'll try to go to the gym that day. But if I don't, if I'm too tired, I don't put pressure on myself to go. You know, like going to the gym on my off days is my goal. I make it my goal to go every day that I'm off. But if I don't beat myself up over it, because if I'm too tired, it's not going to be a great workout. I'm not going to feel good. Yeah, I might feel better after, but I might be suffering through it, or my body might need to sleep, and I genuinely try to listen to my body, and I'm not going to suffer through something if, it's not going to benefit me, which, I mean, it benefits you, but you know what I mean. But you're more injury prone when you're tired, and your body sometimes just needs the extra hours of sleep. I'm not going to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym if I slept 2 hours, so. But I really try to make it a goal to go all of my off days, and I think that's achievable. I'm not going to say I'm going to work out every single day when I work 36 hours back to back. It's not an attainable goal for me, and I'm going to feel like unaccomplished if I don't get it and be hard on myself that way. So I think 4 days a week is pretty balanced, because you know what? Like, the days you work are kind of like an active recovery workout day, because I'm getting probably 12,000 plus steps every day, and that's a lot. I also really try to meal prep, and that helps me stay healthy in that sense. Also, just like getting enough sleep, you have to schedule it out. And I know that sounds crazy, but on nights you really just have to schedule it out. And that's what works for me. I really prioritize sleep, and I talked again all about my sleep on this last podcast episode and video. So that's the most important thing to me, because if I don't sleep, I'm cranky. I'm not a fun person to be around, and I'm the first to admit that. Like, I need my sleep for my physical and mental health. So I prioritize it. I use the blackout curtains. I use melatonin. I turn my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I put my eye mask on, blackout curtains, which I don't have them here, but that's why I use the eye mask, and I'm out. I'm sleeping, and that's that. How do you manage being a travel nurse with your dogs? Are you driving or flying? So we drove with the dogs the 30 hours from Michigan to Arizona, which went actually a lot better than I thought it was going to go. So thank you, my little baby angels, for being such good girls. We took like lots of breaks, probably every like 4 hours. We would stop, do a potty break, walk around a little bit. Everyone would go potty, and we would get gas and any snacks or anything we needed like that. Really mastered that. We actually are thinking about taking them on their first flight coming up here shortly, so I'll let you know. I'm kind of nervous. I don't know how they're gonna do on a plane. But Belly did really, really well in the car, which I was the most worried about her, but she slept pretty much the whole time. Betty gets a little anxious because she knows what's going on, and like anytime you slow down or anytime you get off on a ramp, she like stands up and has to look out the window and see what's going on. But I brought like calming treats. I had the whole back seat cleared out for them, and they sat on my lap the whole time. Literally sat on my lap. Oh my gosh, they're cuddling right now in bed, in the same bed. It melts my heart when they do that. It's so stinking cute. My little babies, the sissies. But I manage it. We get dog sitters, rovers, like one that we really liked. We found a girl that we really trust and like from there. We also put them up at like the PetSmart Hotel, which is like bougie AF. I don't know if you guys have ever put your dogs there, but they're like, so I had it, the rover girl that we used was booked, so I last minute had to put them there. And they were like, oh, do you want to get a private suite for your dogs? Like, do you want to spoil your dogs with the peanut butter Kong and ice cream? And the way they word things, it's like, yeah, well, duh, I want to spoil my dogs. Like, I'm not going to say, no, I don't want to spoil my dogs. Like, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And so I'm like, dang, these dogs are staying nicer than me. Like, but they deserve it. They are my children. They are my babies. Anything for them. But I'm like, gosh. And then they were like, do you want to do this like orange spritz before they leave, a perfume or whatever? I'm like, oh my gosh. Who knew that it got so fancy at at the dog border? But let's talk about and I hope you guys enjoyed the actual part of this episode. And you know, it was about work-life balance, but now we're gonna get into the work-life balance section where I talk about like non-nursing things. But I hope I kind of like covered my bases on how important work-life balance is, and you know, mental health is important. Make sure you have work-life balance, how you can have work-life balance by doing things outside of work and not making your whole life revolve around the hospital, and finding the things you love to do before you became a nurse again. So with that said, let's go into my little work-life balance section where I talk absolutely nothing about nursing. So we went to our first NBA game. It was a Phoenix Suns and Clippers game. They lost. They ended up winning their like, you know, series, however many games they play. I think it's 4. But the game we went to, of course, they lost. Like, and Brandon was really upset. It was actually a good game though, and we got like free t-shirts. It was super fun. I've never been to an NBA game before, so it was actually like a pretty good experience. I had a blast. This was so crazy though. So we got drinks at the game, and again, I've never been to an NBA game before, so I had no idea how much a drink was gonna cost. And they were tall boys, and I was like an orange vodka soda something, and Brandon got like a Bud Light, I don't even know. And we ring them up at the register and it said $60 something, and I was like, what? $60? And I'm like, okay, well, it's like 2 tall boys. I'm like, okay, and it's an NBA game, whatever. Like, that seems outrageous, but maybe that's just what drinks cost at an NBA game. They ended up accidentally double scanning it, so they charged us for 4 drinks, which like $30 is kind of still a little bit crazy for 2 drinks. But it ended up being fine because they gave us the other drinks. I didn't even want 2 of those, but I'm like, okay, they couldn't refund us because the lady would like have to call her boss or something. And I'm like, okay, no confrontation, like it's fine, like whatever. But my jaw hit the floor when I saw that 60 at first. I'm like, Brandon, dang, this is what it costs to go to an NBA game? Like, forget it. I don't need the drink. I'll be fine. While we were there, after that, we met up with Anthony and Toby, which if you don't know them, Toby is a nurse. He's also another content creator. He's on Instagram. You should follow him. I don't know if he's on TikTok or not, but, and then Anthony, who is the co-founder of Odney or Lumify. You might know him from that. He's so awesome. We had so much fun. And yeah, and then we got insomnia cookies and went to bed after that, but it was so fun. I really had a fun time. They like made that NBA game pretty interactive and like did fun things in between, which I didn't know that they did. So I highly recommend if you've never been to one. My parents came into town this last weekend. We went to Vegas with them too, and that was super fun. My drink of choice right now is either a margarita or an Aperol Spritz. Funny story about Aperol though, which is a little sidetracked. When Brandon and I had an off night together, and we were gonna have like an at-home date night, and we went to Walmart, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love Aperol Spritz. Like, I've made them before. My brother's made them for me before at home. I'm like, oh, let's just like get the stuff and make them at home. That'd be so fun. Sit on the porch. It's a beautiful day. I feel like it's such like a summer in the sun kind of drink. Like, that's just the vibes it gives me. And they didn't have Aperol, but they had a red bottle. It looked just like Aperol. I'm like, oh, it's probably Aperol, just a different brand. And it was called Campari or something like that. I still have it here. And so we got home, I make them, I take a sip of it, and I'm like, what is this? This stuff tastes horrible. Like literally, you know, like throwing up. Horrible. And so I give it to Brandon, and I'm like, Brandon, try this. And he can tell that something's up because I have that like look on my face, you know, and he hated it. Like, we literally had to dump it. I felt so wasteful, and I hate that. But it was not Aperol. I don't know if you've ever had it, but it was so bitter with that in there. I felt so bad, and they ended up just not having Aperol because I looked online again to see like maybe I missed it. And I even looked up other drinks that you could make with what I got, and I couldn't make anything that tasted palatable at all. Like, it was not good. But we went to Vegas and it was super fun. I always feel so out of place in Vegas though, because everyone's just like so beautiful with such cute outfits, and I just am not like that. Like, I cannot put an outfit together for the life of me. Like, But I'm like, wow, everyone just looks so good. Like, I am your ultimate hype girl. Everyone looks amazing. Good for you. I'm just not that girl. I wish I could be. Like, someone please teach me how to style myself, please. But it was still fun. My brother was there too, so I got to see him. We played darts. I almost won, but then the last round I didn't, which I am like the least athletic person on the planet. Like, I have no coordination, but I actually was doing pretty decent at darts for a while there until the last round. Someone beat me last minute, of course, but it was so fun. I forget what the place was called. It was like Flight something, but that was the dart place we played at, and it was in the Bellagio or the Palazzo Hotel, I think. And it was a blast, so I highly recommend. I also finished my book. I finished A Not So Meet Cute. It was actually a little spicy. I don't know if you like those types of books, but I think I ended up giving it a 4.5 out of 5. I read it on my Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I actually really liked it. It had a cute story. The only problem, this is a spoiler, if you don't want to hear the spoiler, fast forward 30 seconds. I feel like the fight that they had, like, she got so mad over what, and I feel like she was really overreactive. Like, I understand that she was upset that he, like, you know, accused her of lying or whatever, or spilling, you know, the secret. But I'm like, girl, like, come on. He apologized. You have to understand the pressure he was on. Like, she made it such a big deal. And then they're just gonna, like, get real engaged like that. Like, they've known each other for how many weeks now? But I'm, like, happy they were together and all that. But, you know, it was just like, how can you go from so mad like that and overreacting like crazy to, yes, I'm gonna marry you. But I still overall really liked it. That's just, like, the only, I feel like it was just missing some plot. I don't know. I needed a little more. I needed more right there. I'm going to go to San Diego next week with Operation Happiness. I'm super duper excited. Brandon unfortunately could not get the dates off, and I asked all of my friends if they could go, and no one could make it work. So I think I'm just gonna do a little solo trip to San Diego, and I've never been to San Diego before. I've never been to California before. So I'm super excited. We are going to go see Social House, which, fun fact, I saw Social House when I went with my friend to see Ariana Grande. They opened up. If you don't know who Social House is, they sing Magic in the Hamptons. I don't know if you know that song, but it's pretty popular, I would say. It's like, you know where I go. We're dancing magic in the Hamptons. Na, 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 na. Okay, there's my singing. I'm so sorry if your ears are burning. I also got my passport the other day. Brandon and I went and got our passports, and you know why I got them? Because we're going to Costa Rica, baby! Woo! So Nicole, Leanne, and I are throwing a trip to Costa Rica, and I'm super excited. If you guys want to come, you can. Let's go on vacay together. All the information is either on my TikTok or my Instagram, or I'll even have it linked down below. But we really try to make it affordable because that's super important to us, to make it affordable. We're gonna do a bunch of different activities, and it's gonna be a group of people, and like, it's so fun. We get to go to Costa Rica together. So let's go. Come on. What are you waiting for? There's also payment plans available, which we really wanted to do as well because it's an investment, it's a vacay, it's a trip, but you deserve it. January 2024, be there or be square, okay? I also bought a dip nails kit. Kara, the baby nurse, influenced me. She said she got a dip nails kit, so I got a dip nails kit, okay? But look, I don't know if you can tell, they're a little messy, so don't judge. It was my first time. Practice makes perfect. But I feel like it was so much easier than doing gel nails. And honestly, they look so good in my opinion. It came with so many colors, and it was so much more affordable than I was expecting. Like, my jaw was dropped. But I really liked it. I can't wait to do them again. And yeah, but it's all the stuff I used. I got like an electric drill. I got a little like kit, and all the colors and everything. It's all in my Amazon storefront under nails. Some other things I've been loving. The Youth to the People Cactus Oasis Serum is like my new favorite product on the planet. You just like, I slap it on. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do, but I slap it on, okay? I also have been loving Dibs. I've loved Dibs forever though, you guys, okay? I've loved it for a while, but they finally just gave me a discount code. It's BRIBRI, and you get 15% off. BRBR. Girl, you know how to spell your name? Whoa! B-R-I. Gosh, is the code. Sorry, I apparently can't spell my own name. And it's 15% off. And so yeah, I love Dibs. It's the blush and contour stick I use in literally every video. It's my favorite. And so use Bravery if you want, and you can save 15% off. I'm so pumped that they gave me a code. I just ordered their new shade 2, the 2.5 that just came out. I don't know if it's still in stock, so if it's not, don't come at me. But it's like this beautiful pink, like pinch your cheeks pink. So pretty. I'm so pumped. I also just got the e.l.f. Halo Liquid Glow Filter stuff, and I think I actually really like it. I understand the hype. e.l.f. is just really like, can we give a round of applause to e.l.f.? And I love the Tarte, I don't know how to say it, you guys. I don't know how to say it. It's like maracuja, don't come for me, lip plumping oil. And it tingles a little bit, and it makes your lips nice and juicy, and it's so pretty. Also, like Tarte, I would love to come on a brand trip with you. Like, there's no way that would ever happen in my dreams, but you know what, we're just gonna put it out there anyway. But did you guys watch like Prime YouTube time? I know everyone's like shook about these brand trips, but those were my favorite YouTube videos back in like 2014, 2015. Like Aspen Ovard would go, Tess Christine I feel like would go. Those would be my favorite videos. Like genuinely, I would look forward to them. Alerts would be on and I would watch them immediately. Like, oh, what a dream. What a dream. Anyway, I think that's it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Make sure you follow me at Bree the Nurse, at Scrubs Off Duty on TikTok and Instagram. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a review if you liked this episode, 5 stars preferably. I'm just kidding. If you don't like it, you can hate, but don't be a hater. I'm just kidding. All right, love you guys. Thank you so much, and I hope everyone has a good day. If you're working, I'm manifesting a good shift for you. But all right, bye.